So do we think? What do we think of the motivation behind this? Do we think that the motivation of the events that took place in the Giants front office was because they really thought that Brian Dabble was the guy? He was so good that they kind of already made the decision before going into the interview with Brian Flores? Or do you think that they're really just checking the box and just saying, hey, we satisfied the guidelines just to say we did it, but we really didn't have any plans on hiring a person of color or, any person of diversity? We could start with Reg on this one.
Yeah, I know I actually came up with this question, but I felt like it was just they were just trying to check the box, just because coming to the meeting, at an unprofessional level, just shows that you're kind of not interested. You're not taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. I think it's unfortunate because it seems like a slap in the face, because why not just, if you're going to be there anyway, hear what the guy has to say. He could wow you. Worst case, he does his pitch and you're not convinced, he goes the direction that you're going with. But to just not give it a fair shot to begin with, it doesn't seem to benefit either party, and we see that coming to a head with this lawsuit. Just my thoughts on it.
Okay. Deuce. Good Kid, Mad City, who is not from the Southern California at all, and wants to claim them. What do you have to say?
Dude, this is because I'm rooting for the Rams for this playoff season, man. But we'll talk about that later. I'm with Reg, man. You guys, how can we forget the great John Gruden, right? The master wordsmith, Mr. Elegance himself. Oh boy, what's totally boy, the bold haircut dude, man. Mark Davis. So remember the Rooney Rule, right? I think it came out like in 2003. Mandates that each team must interview a minority person for an opening position, right? And when that rule came out, it was like, at the time, I think 2% of black people got these jobs. Rooney Rule came out, there was a spike. 20% of those openings went to us, right? So it had an effect. Started to dwindle down, myriad of reasons, right? Then you get to Mark Davis hiring Gruden. He had to abide by the Rooney Rule, had to interview diversity, different people. This dude, because the Davises just don't give about what they say. Mm-hmm. He came out and said, oh yeah, we already contacted Gruden and told him, bro, you got the job, but we got to interview these other fools to appease the NFL. He came out and he said this in public. It wasn't in emails, hidden anywhere. It's open. What did the NFL do? Nothing, because they looked at it and said, well, he did abide by the letter of the law. So when he did that, other teams are looking at it like, oh, if they can get away with that, then we can also pre-pick our candidates, check the box like Red said, and move forward, man. And that's what you've seen. And just going into that now, 2 decades since the Rooney Rule was made, you got 1 black head coach, 3 black quarterback coaches, 4 offensive coordinators, 8 special team coordinators, 11 defensive coordinators, and 6 GMs for a league with 32 teams where like 80% of the players are black. If we played a game, we had knowledge of the game, don't you think you could teach the game?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, when Chris mentioned the head coach,
Mike Tomlin.
The fact that, yeah,
never had to lose a season. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. But I was also thinking to myself, man, that head coaching position is pretty tough, right? Because there's only 1 head coach, and there's only 32 teams, so you're going to have 32 people in those spots. So in general, it's a tight situation to get into. But yeah, knowing the history of the NFL is not too far-fetched to say that they're just checking the box. I don't think it's a far-fetched claim. If I was them though, if I was the Giants, I would push back on this. I would try to slice and dice that up in all kind of ways, because I myself have been in interviews where it kind of felt like it was disinterested, and I couldn't really tell if they had a candidate or otherwise. So because of that experience and having it had happened several times across different companies, unless this whole idea of not wanting people of color in jobs is just so rampant across the place, or hiring practices in general are a little shady. And I think it's more of the latter. Hiring practices in general are a bit shady. We know about this hires and all these other things and biases that take over. So it's really tough, man. This is like an uphill battle on both fronts. One on being a minority and one on just people hire who they want to hire. And they have favoritism and they have ways of skirting rules and regulations to get what they want to get done. So it's good that he's pushing back on this, but the case for me at this point seemed a little thin. I know we have the text messages and stuff like that, but more power to him, man. I wish him good luck with this case, and hopefully it changes something. But it is a bit thin right now on what the claim is. I was trying to find the whole article and them talking about the intoxication and not coming sober. I didn't really read that in detail, but
I think that was a scene where Elway countered that. Cause I think it was the Broncos, and Elway said that the flight was a late flight. That's why he was late. I don't know about the intoxication part, but as far as being tardy, like hours late, it's because of a late flight.
okay.
I mean, either way.
Yeah, these are the kind of things that's funny, right? People have reasons or excuses, if you want to call them, if it turns out to not be valid.
Yeah. And also that does happen. You have interviewers and interviewees who are just like, it's a bad day. Interview's not going to go good.
Yeah.
But it can happen on either end. But hopefully this does lead to the NFL looking at this and try and find ways. It was a good law to start with. And you got people to, abide to the letter of the law. Kind of like what Deuce was talking about. Let's see if we could find ways to incentivize and get people into the spirit of the law, to really take it seriously and not just so blatantly be like, we're just gonna do what we do and we'll interview, we'll follow your little protocol, but we're not gonna take those people seriously. If they can find a way to, get that inclusion, you got the diversity piece, you got to get that inclusion. If they can find ways to make that happen, that would be the best thing. Even if, Brian Flores doesn't win this suit or come out with a whole bunch of money, if it can make a change, I think he'd be happy with that too.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So let me ask this, man. Do y'all think that Brian Flores is going to actually get some level of winning? And maybe it not be the whole gambit, but maybe a slice of it. Or do you think this is going to fall short? Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. No one's going to find anything, and this is going to be just another. They perceive it as boy who cried wolf. Nothing to see here, and go about your day. You're no longer here with the NFL kind of thing. Blackball.
I would hope it wouldn't go to trial. I would hope it would just get settled like on a Cap situation, but with some positive outcomes. I know there was a settlement with Cap, but I didn't see any positive outcomes there. They made some noise with this Jay-Z partnership. I see some things like they have messages on their helmets. It's a little subtle, but it's better than nothing. I notice it, but it doesn't. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Kev, you got something?
When you said the helmet thing, it surprised me. I only noticed it for the playoffs. I didn't notice it beforehand during the season. I was like, oh, whoa, they're doing it too. I was very shocked about that. I know how the NFL is, but yeah, maybe these keep. It's a grind, right? Grindhouse. You got to grind. You got to get through. You got to hit a wall a couple times, fall down, get back up, make these little holes, and then maybe you don't get too far, but the person behind you get a little further. And you keep working the wheels, man, to get this fairness that you wouldn't think you need to fight for, but some fairness and some equity and just an equal air. Especially if you're taking the time to interview me, like you might as well.
Yeah.
You might as well put yourself into it.
Yeah. You're wasting your own time by not taking it seriously.
Exactly.
I think I noticed the helmets this season. I think they might have even done it last season as well as having female official or women officials. Sorry. But I think all these things are good. I don't know if they struck a good balance in the fact that it's not, getting this big counter push, or is it just not being noticed? But I think at the end of the day, seeing that messaging, you can identify it. Like this quarterback at least will put this message on his helmet, despite what pushback he might get from certain people. So I saw it as a positive. It wasn't as loud as the NBA during the bubble season, but it's something.
I hear you, man. Gosh, why'd you name this? Can you just name it something else? Good Kid, Mad City.
Hey man, it's words, man. It's called reading comprehension, bro. I'm sorry you haven't got the skill yet. But
5 syllables.
You guys know what the NFL stands for, man?
No Fun League, No Freedom League.
No, hey, never freaking losing league, man. Y'all think the NFL is gonna change, bro? All right, we just had a whole show. What was it, like an investigation into the former Washington Redskins, now the Commanders, right? Improper workplace environment, making the cheerleaders pretty much prance around butt booty naked for like investors or sponsors and all this stuff, right? FedEx pulled out, ooh, Daniel Snyder's still in charge, right? They had this investigation. They dug in. They found stuff. Daniel Snyder is the dude that can say whether it would be, he has a say in whether it would be released or not. So you telling me I could go out here and rob a bank pretty much. The police do an investigation. They got me on tape. They got my voice. I tell y'all, yo, I just robbed that bank yesterday. All this. But then the police have to say, hey, Deuce, can we release that? Nah, that's gonna incriminate me. Nah, bruh, you're not gonna release that. It's the same thing, man. And kind of like how they swept Colin Kaepernick under the rug. We really don't know the outcome. We know he got a settlement. He can't even talk about it. Dude can't even talk about it. Gag order. Done. And look how long it took for them to get Gruden. Look how long it took for them for the Ray Rice joint. They knew about it a whole year ahead of time, man. So the NFL's good at sweeping stuff under the rug. I think they'll make some amendment to the Rooney Rule, but like, how do you make that fair and equitable for all parties involved? I think I don't know how to do that, but I think the players need to get involved. That's the big difference between the NBA and the NFL. NBA, the players it's a players' league. Mm-hmm. They can implement changes. Mm-hmm. Ownership has to listen. The NFL, the players really don't have that power.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
There's that popular podcast that had this discussion. They were getting into all the ins and outs, and there was some misinformation that was corrected. It was a passionate moment with the I am athlete or whatever. But there's a lot more players. The players who are at the top, I think it's changing a little bit with quarterbacks and whatnot being quarterbacks of color, or at least some color in there or whatever you want to call it. So I think there's an ability to maybe shift some of that, but it's harder to get that many people on board.
Yeah,
and also the demographics and the various opinions about what should happen or what shouldn't happen, or what is happening and what is not happening. I think the people at the top, like the top 10, top 20 players or top 10 representatives in the NBA, are mostly unanimous and also vocal. It's saying, oh yeah, like this or that, or like whatever the way that they want to go or flow. The NFL, they're a lot less hesitant to speak up about things. So you don't really hear the Aaron Rodgers, you don't hear Tom Brady, you don't hear Drew Brees. And then when you do hear Drew Brees, is like the thing that he said was just kind of like not what you wanted, people to hear, because like it really, not to say that he can't really say what he wants or whatever. That's really what he believes and that's how he believed. He should have just stuck with it. But I think he said what he had to say, and it really backfired because it sounded tone deaf. And then now he's backtracking and now he's moonwalking, and now that just makes you look like you don't really have a stance and you don't really understand all the information and all that. But like that's usually what the dynamic is, that either you don't say something or if you do say something, you're going to anger a lot of people regardless. Like NFL is just really has this diverse demographic, and it's hard to navigate. I'm not going to say it's easy, but that's part of the unity that you were referring to with respect to, or the dynamic with respect to the NFL and their players versus the NBA owners and their players. So
you're right about that. And even to back it up, man, why was he fired in the first place? I looked into his record, right? So he got with Miami first from the Belichick tree, okay? Mm-hmm. he was I think the offensive coordinator up there for.
Mm-hmm.
He was an assistant coach for the Patriots. I don't know which one. Assistant coach. Patriots did good. He was there from 08 to 18, bro. That was a good run for the Pats.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got to give him some credit for that. He got to Miami in 2019, where he had Mr. Fitzpatrick himself, right?
Yeah.
2019, they went 5-11.
Mm-hmm.
2020, 10-6. This is with the rookie quarterback. 21, 9-8. Some injuries. Second year quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tua, I love Tua. I love him to death. He's having a hard time adjusting to the NFL, so he doesn't have one of those stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he managed to galvanize that team and do some damage. So when I think this, I Googled, why did they let him go? Google came back and it said, "This is." What did you guys think about when you hear this? Why was somebody released? Oh, there was organizational strife.
Not a good fit. Culture fit.
Yeah, pretty much. Put anything under that umbrella.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
that's
a whole bucket.
Organizational strife. And I did some, I'm like, that was the official statement. We got a young talent in the roster, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. But in the end, it was organizational strife. Bro, what?
Yeah. So not to mention, I don't know if everyone was up on the latest deets. He was also being asked to tank games, lose games.
Is that alleged?
This is according to him. Yeah, this is
alleged.
Yeah, it's alleged.
It's alleged.
Yeah. So this is according to him. He said that he was going to be incentivized $100,000 to a loss, and he refused to do so with the Miami Dolphins. And the point of that was so you can get a higher draft pick and whatnot. So, yeah, that he's kind of exposing a lot of stuff now. Now the cat's out the bag, and he's just like let it.
That's why Hugh Jackson came out with that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
Is the Jerry Jones rule? Is that what?
There's Jerry Jones got a rule. I thought the Jerry Jones rule was whatever he does, whatever he says, y'all do. Because
I think he was paying his coaches to lose games too. Because that's the only way to explain how you have a roster like that and still take L's.
Hey.
And then also that AFC East division is a tough division. Typically you have the Patriots in there who have had, like you said, a great run over that span of time.
Mm-hmm.
Jets have been trash, but the Bills have also had some good teams. Right now they're a pretty good team as well. So
yeah,
to have a positive record in there, that's a good thing.
So
right.
So
especially when your owner is trying to drive losses and you're still winning despite that, and they just missed the playoffs. Like I feel like they've strung together some defense seasons with the talent they put together, like you stated.
Yeah.
Is this a real strategy applied in the NFL, as in tanking games to get a higher draft pick? I know we've seen this sometimes, and we claim that it's happening in the NBA. Is the NFL also on that same kind of a tactic?
The Jags did it. It was the Jags and another team to get. Can't think of the quarterback name now.
Trevor Lawrence.
And
yeah, it was them and another team that were tanking.
Yeah.
Is it frowned upon?
Was it the Lions?
I mean, I feel like they tank every season, so I can never tell the difference.
But I feel like any major sports league that has drafts that are tied to your ranking has that issue. I think even hockey probably has that issue. Like I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be a strategy for certain organizations.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I asked, because I was wondering how does that tie back into his case now, given that it's such a broad applied strategy, not just in the NFL but even in other leagues. Is he trying to use that to bolster his case, and if so, in what way?
So
go ahead.
I was gonna say, just to add some I guess fluff or some meat to that argument of like why would he be fired for if he's winning games even though he's incentivized to lose. So I saw this I saw this meme or this I guess picture, Flores versus the field. So coaches who are still employed and their records over the last 2 years. I don't know if anyone saw this. So Brian Flores was 19-14. John Harbaugh is 19-14. Cliff Kingsbury, who's with the the Cardinals, 19-14. Mike McCarthy is 18-15. Bill Belichick is 17-16. Kyle Shanahan is 16-17. Zach Taylor for the Bengals is 14-18. Ron Rivera is 14-19 with the Washington, whatever you want to call that team.
Washington team. I like that name. I'm gonna stick with that from now on. The Commander thing. I didn't think you could get worse than the Washington team, but now I like the Washington team.
Yeah, especially with like the end results as Commanders. It's like this is what y'all spent 3 years on this.
They interviewed some elementary kids, and it's like, what was the name for the new Washington team? And somebody won a contest or a drawing.
Yeah,
this is trash. But that's a diversion.
Yeah. So I guess to put to add to your point, why was he let go in the first place? And it kind of ties into this team. What do you call it?
Organizational strife.
Culture
strife. Yeah.
That's
what he said, right? It had nothing to do with performance, right? So in organizations, there's a multifaceted way of assessing whoever you're working with. It's not just gonna always be based on performance. So not saying we can't use that argument, but we gotta really come strong with this one. You know what I mean? Because
no, you're right. Because even John Gruden, they were having a positive season, but obviously it's not just about performance. If they have some kind of cultural or kind of behavioral thing that they feel like, or bad publicity, whatever reason they finally do it, but it wasn't performance where they were like, oh, we got to get John Gruden out of here in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
So there is other things that they use. I think it adds to his case when you get to the collusion part of things, because if he's saying that the NFL owners, I don't think he's saying the NFL itself is conspiring, but NFL owners or whatever, there's some kind of collusion, like, Colin Kaepernick alleged collusion. Now he's talking about collusion against black coaches. If you're hiring me and you have all these things that they're doing, they're hiring people that they want behind the scenes, you hire me and you kind of lean on me to lose. Now it kind of gives ammunition to all these other teams to be like, look, when we hire them, they don't perform. So I feel like that might have been an aspect to it as well. Like, you hire me and then you want me to tank, but if I tank, not only does that reflect poorly on me and I'll be out of here and you can say, well, he sucked. It also closes the doors for a lot of people like me. So this is probably why I'm not going to stand by that.
That's the hard part, right? That's the intent. Going back to the fact that we could prove that this is a strategy used across the board. So how many coaches have fought back and saying, I don't want to mess up my record, as opposed to let me ride with my organizational, the direction my organization want to go. So how do you balance that, following the direction of the organization and thinking that you're going to mess up your record? Because I think that's something that we would think of, because we're sensitive to the fact that, hey, we already don't get hired that much. So that could open up us to looking at things more strictly than other people. So we got to watch out for falling into some stories that we have a lot of dots to connect to make it click.
Yeah, anecdotal. But I think at the end of the day, in that particular case, that I think that you could help make a case with that, even though it's anecdotal and it happens to other coaches, because the other coaches, they're not going to say, oh, well, we're not going to hire any more white guys because this last white guy didn't work out. Yeah, so you kind of put black people in a very unique position that legally is very hard to proceed. So I think it still helps bolster his case a little bit, just for that reason.
Yeah,
that's what I was about to say too, man. It's we don't have skin in the game, man. White coaches, they can come out, they can take the L, or they can say, hey, I'm not down for the restructuring of the team, right? I don't want to be down for a rebuilding effort. And then they both can part ways. They put in the interim coach, pay that cat to leave, because that white coach knows somebody's going to pick me up. Somebody. Black coaches, I mean, dude, the highest one, 11 defensive coordinators. So you go from a head coach back to defensive coordinator. I know it's a cycle, but even that's hard. Like you said, there's only so many spots.
Yeah, 32.
Yeah.
So, anything else, man, before we move on from the NFL?
I got one more question. Why did he go to the interview after getting the text from Belichick with that situation saying that, man, I haven't even interviewed yet? And he went to the interview still, but I guess maybe he was like, have good faith. So he's like, let me see what's going on. But
Yeah.
what do you think he was thinking at that time?
I was probably thinking that he was thinking like, yo, it's like if it's BS, it's garbage what you're gonna go into, but you don't want to sit here and just like mess up your name or character by disappearing or doing something and acting out or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure he went in there. He was just like, bro, I know you guys don't care. Like, and obviously if they come in an hour late, like it also reflects on them. But you can't fire them because they're the owners and GMs and executive people, right? So, all you can do is just like sit there and take it. And again, I'm glad he took down receipts and took down. I would have took down notes on everything if I knew it was gonna be like that. Like that's usually what I would do. But maybe that's the reason. It's like, yo, because let's flip it. What if he heard that and then he decided I'm not gonna show up, and then the owners talk. So don't talk to this guy. He didn't even show up to my interview. I feel disrespected. I showed up an hour late. He still wasn't there. What's wrong with this guy? Right?
Exactly.
How dare
even if he showed up and then said, "Oh, they're not here for an hour," and left, that they still would have been like, "Oh, this, that, and the third." That would have been the narrative. When you were asking that question, I want to hear what the other guys think, because I think it was a good faith practice. Like even if they're not going to be professional, or even if they already picked their guy, I'm gonna go through the motions so I can say, hey, I did my part. And I think that's kind of what the spirit of law is at least going through the motions, showing that you care and you respect the other party. Because on the same token, I asked myself that question. I know people go back and forth on this one. It was the Kaepernick situation. I was a little disappointed. You have everything going on and I understand where he's coming from, but he was kind of alleging like, oh, this was a setup. They had their guys, they had their film crew. They weren't gonna let me do my thing. So he decided not to come, or he came late. I don't remember what the end result was there, but I felt as though I would have rather him showed up. Like, I guess he thought they were trying to play him and make the workout go bad intentionally. I don't know what he thought was going on, but I would have rather him showed up and did the best that he could, so we could say, look, he put it all out there, and like, okay, the workout was good. I think he did better than other people, like something that we could work with rather than not showing up, or I don't remember what the end result was there.
He showed up. So what happened was they wouldn't let his film crew in the arena. Okay. Only the NFL team's crew could be there. So he said, "Oh, okay." If that's, and it made it seem as though it was like a Falcons arena thing. So if that's the case, he already had a secondary site planned out. So they went to that high school. He lost some people. Some of them didn't follow, and that way, NFL's crew and his crew filmed the workout, so it would be objective. That's what happened.
I think it was some contract. They were doing some contract last minute changes, I believe, too.
Even the invitations were last minute for some of these scouts, where I think they were getting prepared or focused to go to deal with Super Bowl or something. Like, it was awful timing, last minute invitations, all that, and trying to say you can't do this. I would have still, me personally, I feel like I would have rather him just dealt with the adversity and gone through it. And at least he could say, hey, look, I did everything they asked of me, and they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Instead of trying to win a tug of war with the machine. Because ultimately, like, you're suing them and you want to work for them. Like, at the same, you're already in a precarious situation. They're not, you're already suing them for saying they're not treating you fairly. You knew that they weren't going to treat you fairly in the first place.
I just what you're saying, but I don't ride with that point, because he's suing them because they shady. So what your point is, go into the arena where you have no control over the narrative at that point, because they can show clips where the receivers were missing passes. They can make him look like trash. Hey, this is why we didn't sign Kaepernick. And I think I like what he did. Yeah, you suing him because you don't trust him. You're taking away my one element of trust. I just want my film guys in there. I'm not saying you can't film me. I just want my people too. And they're saying no. So I understand exactly why he did that, man. I wanted objective evaluation.
Yeah, again, I never said I didn't understand why he did what he did. I completely understand. But I just felt like at the end of the day, it still didn't get the result that he wanted, right?
Yeah.
Like, did y'all see the workout film? The teams that there were, a lot of the people that were invited, the personnel didn't end up seeing it to do that. So like, getting the favorable shots, still, I understand he thought that would have given him a better chance, but like, now in retrospect did it.
Yeah, I see that. So let me ask you this, Deuce. If you were with a employer and it's astronauts, like there's only one company that does astronaut stuff, and you want to be head astronaut, and you didn't want to, you want us to still be an astronaut, but you know what I'm saying, they've been out here sexually harassing you or whatever it is that they're doing that makes you feel unfairly treated or
sexual harassment.
Well, I don't
I
know.
was like,
You know what I'm saying?
Under lowballing you, pinching you, not letting you go on flights.
Yeah,
thanks, man.
They
put you any other example. Yeah,
that's big far left.
Well, I'm just saying, like every company has a HR. Hey guys, don't be sexually harassing people out here. Every company has that, but
and it still happens, unfortunately.
So
it happens. So that wasn't this case though, but it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this situation, if this is you're the guy, right? Would you want to sue the person and still keep your job, or how would you handle the dynamic? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, that's tough. I let me say this. I see why Cap did it. Cap made money in the league, and he had the Nike deal and other endorsements, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think Flores has a shoe deal or anything like that, so he's risking so much.
Well, I just want to. I don't want to cut you off, but I feel like the Nike deal came after he gave up and sacrificed. I don't think it was like, oh, he already had the deal.
Well,
or he knew that he would keep the deal. I don't remember, but I know it's like he put it all on the line. Like he just did this, not knowing that, hey, I'm gonna get compensated.
Yeah, Nike definitely.
No, I had a different sound. I was going off of the Atlanta tryout and the Dome thing, but you're right. When he was in the league doing the thing, okay, yeah, so the same scenario. Fair. He still had some endorsements, but he was losing them.
They could have dropped him for whatever reason, and then they still stuck. Like he wasn't promised. None of this was promised to him.
Yeah.
Nah.
And he still made that sacrifice. So.
Nah, he did. I still think like the black community was supporting them. I think the stuff was slower back then, right? We're back to normal pace. But back to Chris's question, so pretty much either put my head down, close my eyes, and keep on working, or be the whistleblower, sue them, and then still try to work for them. I think once you sue your employer, you pretty much know your days are numbered, right? Okay. So me, if I'm gonna sue, I would make sure I have like another avenue to go on first before I sue.
Gotcha.
For sure. Like I got a landing spot over here, because I know once I do the lawsuit, at that point, I'm just gonna try to be like clean as an altar boy, because like you said, I don't want them to have anything to say to give them more credence to why we let them go because of this.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good answer.
He's not suing for being fired, right? He's suing for the hiring practices.
Against the hiring practice. Yep.
Exactly. So
he's currently unemployed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's sad.
But he settled, so that's why you won't hear it spoken about anymore. Yeah. So I don't think he could talk about it anymore. But I do see.
Already?
Kaepernick.
Huh?
I think you're talking about Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Right?
He did settle.
Oh, he's talking about Kaepernick.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. Oh, my bad. I was talking about Kaepernick, but I think also too, I think it does make sense for you to sue somebody and then still try and get a job there, because I think it's a combined effort where you're using the legal as a pathway, but you might be able to get those changes, and if those changes were to come into fruition, it could end up with you in a job. Like that's a little naive, that's a little like optimistic, but it's a possibility. It's not a 0% chance. It's not very likely, but it's not a 0% chance. Shoot your shot.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and apply for that astronaut job after you sue them. So
yeah, why not?
Hey man, listen, you might end up lost in space.
Not like that.
The whole point of the lawsuit is to be able to change the environment. So
exactly.
At the end of the day, if he really succeed at his goal, then why not? Or why not go back to the place that you contributed to change it?
That's exactly my line of reasoning.
Yeah.
Not likely.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a long shot, but
it is a long shot, man. But hats off to him for doing this, because he knows what's at stake, man. It's very unlikely. Let me just say I would be shocked if he gets another job with the NFL proper, not ESPN or one of the affiliates. With NFL, if he gets another job, like a respectable job, I will be shocked after this.
Brian or Cap or both?
Yeah, I will be happy but shocked.
Brian or Cap or both? I know we've been going back and forth. What are you talking about?
Who?
Brian or
Kaepernick's done with it. There's no.
Yeah.
That's done.
Kaepernick is cool. Yeah. But there's always the college football. I heard there's a coach in Alabama that probably needs to be replaced. But that's another topic for another day.
And two, that's going against. Last I checked, college football was in NFL.
True, but I mean, there's still head coaching jobs that are still very, very lucrative situations to be in.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, what you call it,
Jim Harbaugh.
Thank you. I was about to call him
Chip Kelly.
Nah.
Because Chip Kelly got to do.
He used to wear.
Oh, wow! I was gonna say Chip. Hey, don't worry. Look, it's not a fashion contest. He's about relating to the kids by wearing khakis, and everyone has that father or that uncle who wears pleated khakis.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he took some interviews, but college, I think he realizes what he has there, man, especially in Michigan.
Yeah. And like I said, Chip Kelly, he just got hired, I think in USC or UCLA.
He's at UCLA, yeah.
And we saw how bad Chip Kelly squandered 2 organizations. So
yeah,
he hijacked them.
He just got on the plane, was like, all right, we're going down like this, y'all. This is the plan. Nosedive. And I'm just like,
hey, the owner's like, yo, Chip, we're not paying you to lose games. That's okay, I'll do it for free.
I know. Taking is my specialty.
Oh no.
That's cold. That is cold.
So now he's back in college, man. He's making a name for himself back in college. So